Walks cannot end all these walks. Only peace, only peace. Walks cannot end all these walks. Only peace, only peace. Sing, oh, 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 sing, oh, 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 oh. Night cannot drive out the night. Only light, only light. Night cannot drive out the night. Only light, only light. Doubt cannot drive out the doubt. Only truth, only truth. Doubt cannot drive out the doubt. Only truth, only truth. Sing, oh, 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 sing, oh, 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 oh. And hate cannot drive out the hate. Only love, only love. Hate cannot drive out the hate. Only love, only love. Sing, oh, 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 sing, oh, 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 oh. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. I really do believe there is love somewhere. Up above my head, there is trouble everywhere. Up above my head, there is trouble everywhere. Up above my head, there is trouble everywhere. I really do believe there is love somewhere. Up above my head, there is justice in the air. Up above my head, there is justice in the air. Up above my head, there is justice in the air. I really do believe there is love somewhere. Up above my head, there is sorrow in the air. Up above my head, there is sorrow in the air. Up above my head, there is sorrow in the air. I really do believe there is love somewhere. Up above my head, I hear singing everywhere. Up above my head, I hear singing everywhere. Up above my head, I hear singing everywhere. I really do believe there is love somewhere.
Good morning and welcome everyone to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Jillian Lampert. My pronouns are she, her, serving on your board of directors. Service participants today include Reverend Sarah Goodman, Nico Van Ostren, Amy Peterson-Derrick, Carol Coet, and Victoria Safford, supported by Aaron Scott and Anna Garris. Music today is from Carol Coet, Craig Hansen, the Charlotte's Web Ensemble, and Gianthe Kyle. If you're visiting us today, we warmly invite you to a brief welcome orientation with ministry staff right after the service. And at 11:15, we hope everyone will join us for Cyber Social Hour. We'll put the Zoom link and easy instructions in the chat box. Our 2021 pledge campaign is almost complete. We're more than 90% of the way to our goal of $920,000. Thank you to everyone who's made a pledge. a promise to support our congregation in the coming year. Volunteers will be making calls this week to remind everyone else who may wish to help. You can save us a step by clicking on the link in the chat. We know this year has been difficult for some. If you're unable to make a pledge, please let us know by clicking on the link and pledging $0, or by contacting the church office. Thank you all. Welcome to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
Come in. Come into this space which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, your loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you're called to be. Come into this space where we can heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this space where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this space. Together we make it a holy space. Reverend Sarah Goodman will light the chalice.
This month, our theme is mortality, the practice of being alive. We've unfortunately experienced far too much mortality these last few weeks, these last few years. And so today I light our chalice for the lives lost from hate, from systemic oppression, all beloved of this earth. Join me in our opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our opening hymn is Wade in the Water.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, people, wade in the water. Who's gonna trouble the water? Who's that yonder dressed in white? Trouble the water. Must be the ones who wanna do right. Trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, people, wade in the water. Who's gonna trouble the water? Who's that yonder dressed in red? Trouble the water. Must be the revelators gone up ahead. Trouble the water. Who's that yonder dressed in blue? Trouble the water. Must be the children coming through. Trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, people, wade in the water. When we gonna trouble the water? Who's that yonder dressed in black? Trouble the water. Must be the hypocrites turning back. Trouble the water. We'll step in the water. It's gonna be cold. Trouble the water. It'll cool your body, but not your soul. Trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, people, wade in the water. Who's gonna trouble the water? Wade in the water. Wade in the water, people, wade in the water. troubled water.
Amy and I are both with you all this morning. Often when you see either of us, we are sharing a story or a practice with you. Whatever we are sharing, it is an invitation to hold that story or practice all together with the other members of our Unitarian Universalist community. Another thing that Amy and I do a lot is talk about feelings, partly because this is one way we can welcome each other's full selves, and partly because our feelings are another thing we can count on one another to help hold. This week, when I learned that a young Black man named Daunte Wright was killed by police, I felt sad and tired. The images I saw on social media made me feel worried for people I love and angry that I have to worry for them. I even felt numb for a while as even more tragic news came in, because sometimes the feelings are so big that I can't hold them all at once. So my body helps protect me by pressing pause for an hour or two so I can rest before feeling those big, complicated feelings again.
In our Unitarian Universalist community, we make space to talk about feelings with one another because it takes practice to learn how to listen to and to understand the things we feel deep inside. We make space to talk about feelings because it takes practice to learn how to deeply listen to what others are sharing with us too. Sometimes it can feel hard for me to listen to the feelings that others share with me, or even to listen to the feelings I have inside, because sometimes I feel really sad or confused or uncomfortable, or just feel like I really want to do something. But then I remember that I have to practice listening first so I can learn what the next right thing might be. And I remember that I have a church community that can help me remember to do the hard work of deeply listening. This morning, we are going to invite you into a practice of holding space for listening together, space for listening to and holding our own feelings, whatever they are, and for learning about other people's feelings and what others might need from us too.
We don't have solutions to offer you today, or at least not one beautifully packaged answer for how to hold messy feelings when the community is suffering. But I can offer you a practice and offer to do that practice together with you this morning. Let's start by taking a breath. And when you're ready, hold your hands out in front of you like this. Imagine holding all of your feelings in your hands, all of that sadness, exhaustion, worry, anger, numbness, confusion, discomfort, and urgency. How does that feel? Is it heavy? Warm? Bumpy or smooth? Do your feelings bubble around or sit calmly in your palms? When you're ready, gently gather up your feelings and place them in a safe spot, maybe tightly in your hand or in your heart, in your mind, or somewhere else that you know they will be safe. Put your hands back out in front of you again, empty now, and breathe. Your empty hands have room now for other people's feelings and stories, if that is what's asked of you. The nice thing about empty hands is that they're ready to do lots of different things depending on what is needed. Today, I had enough room in my heart to hold all of my feelings. I have room to help someone else. But sometimes I don't have enough room, and I need to ask my friends and community members if their hands are empty to help hold some of my feelings. And I always try to say, hey, Amy, are your hands empty enough to help me hold some of my sadness right now?
And when I can say yes, I try my best to listen with great care so I learn more about how to hold space and what is needed. I also try to do my best to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and my spirit so that I'm able to make space for my community as much as possible. And sometimes I ask Nico and others if their hands are empty enough to help me hold some of my feelings. And that's okay too. I don't always get it right, but I'm so glad to have a church community that reminds me to practice doing this work so I can learn to be a better listener and learn to be better at holding things together. So I invite you, as we move through the day together and beyond, to practice making space for noticing and naming what you're holding, and then taking some time to make space for listening and learning. We can hold this work together.
Our offering today supports the work of our congregation. Please be generous as you are able.
The first reading is from Imani Perry, from her memoir, Breathe, which is a letter to her two young sons. She teaches African American studies at Princeton. It must be terrifying to raise a Black boy in America. I've heard this from everybody and their mother and their father too. Without hesitation, they speculate as if it is a statement of fact. I look into their wide eyes. I see them hungry for my suffering, or crude with sympathy, or grateful that they are not in such a circumstance. Sometimes they're even curious. It makes my blood boil. I seldom answer a word. I do not want to be their emotional spectacle. I want them to admit that you are people, Black boys, people. This fact, simple as it is, shouldn't linger on the surface. It should penetrate. But no matter how many say so, my sons, you are not a problem. Mothering you is not a problem. It is a gift, a vast one, breathtaking, beautiful. In the Catholic tradition, there's a form of grace. It is the stuff of your soul. It is not defined by moments of mercy or opportunity. It is not good things happening to you. Rather, it is the good thing that is in you, regardless of what happens. You carry this down through generations, same as the epigenetic trauma of a violent slave master's society. But the grace is the bigger part. It is what made the ancestors hold on so we could become. You are gifted with something, and it is important. You have seen Black men of every stripe, of every sort, for the entirety of your life. Famous and homeless, athlete, intellectual, musician, teacher, businessman, public servant, fast food worker. And by seeing, I mean hearing their stories. The range of dispositions and tones of laughter, accents and nationalities and draws and swagger and awkwardness, hyper masculine and elegantly feminine, and every variation in between. And you are members of this collaged confederacy, which, as a through line through all manner of circumstance, can share the Marvin Gaye refrain, makes me want to holler the way they do my life. Makes me want to holler, throw up both my hands. My children, you have seen us, the adults in your world, impotent to protect the children or the mothers or the fathers or to bring our lost ones back. We have failed completely at making those who act with violent impunity stop what they are doing. They know they can take our lives without consequence, stage theaters of our humiliation, and yet your power sustains. And I know that despite my fear, I cannot clip your wings as though cowering is a respectful tribute to the beauty we have lost. No, I want your wingspan wide to honor the departed, ancestral and immediate. Be. Living defined by terror is destructive of the spirit. It is submission, but joy, even in slivers, shows up everywhere. Take it and keep taking it. Breathe. I told you not to raise your hands up in the don't shoot position. I told you to raise your right fist, how I was taught. Power, joy, breathe.
Our second reading is Every Morning by Boy Kinader, 5318. He wakes up and starts to get ready for his day. He brushes his teeth because his mama always said she wouldn't let any son of hers go out with booty breath. He shaves his face just like she had always taught him, far better than any man ever could, or at least she tried her best. He took out the nice shirt and pants his mama had pressed for him. She said no son of hers would go out looking ragged in unpressed clothes. He thanked her. He looked in the mirror at the image staring back at him. He looked at the clean-shaven face, pearly white teeth, the freshly pressed shirt over his dark skin. He squared his shoulders because no son of his mama's should walk anything but tall. Little does he know his mama's been up for hours. Another boy dead in the streets on the news. She remembered the first time she brought him home her beautiful son. He was a beautiful, beautiful boy. In his eyes, she saw all the pain she knew he would see. She saw all that struggle she knew he would face, and it terrified her. because she loved him with every fiber of her being, every tooth and nail, every pore, every tear. So she pressed his shirts and made sure he brushed his teeth and taught him please and thank you and sir and ma'am, and made him stand tall and put a good head on his shoulders and hoped it would be enough. Because what do you tell your son to protect him from dying? When who knows if the other mamas will teach their white children to stop the killing. Every morning, she makes him kiss her goodbye as he walks out the door into the world. Every morning she prays that it is not the last time she sees her son, who is now a beautiful, beautiful man. Every morning he kisses his mother goodbye because she taught him how to be a man better than any man ever could, or at least she tried her best. And he stands tall because he is proud to be her son. For just a few moments and into the music that follows, let's hold a time of silence together.
It was not an accident. No matter what happened last Sunday, and it'll be sometime before we know, so let's all take a breath, we who are still breathing. No matter what happened in the moment, in the split second of eternal fire of confusion, terror, screaming, a phone call to his mother. No matter what happened last Sunday, it was not an accident, not in the way we think of accidents coming out of nowhere, unexplained and unexplainable acts of God or chance, ex machina, lightning strikes, tornadoes, the cup that slips from your hand and shatters on the kitchen floor. There really are no accidents, or very few, only causes and effects. If we take the time to study, understand, almost always we can trace the line from barometric pressure to tornado. And someone almost always can explain with meteorological precision why this house and not that one is still standing. Nothing comes out of the blue. Sometimes we never know it, but there's almost always cause. You dropped the cup because your hand was shaking, listening to the news, standing in the kitchen in the dark. There's been another shooting, Indiana now, 9 dead, or maybe Brooklyn Center. The cup slips from your hand and breaks into 1,000 pieces, exactly like your heart, and it's not an accident. A trembling hand can't hold a cup. The only accident I really know for sure, believe in wholeheartedly, is about the soul getting into the body, the lively spirit, the life of a person, the personality, the spark. We know where babies come from, but not how souls arrive, nor where they travel when the body dies by old age or by illness or a gunshot. The only accident I know about for sure is that, the soul, the mind, the wit, the essence of us that gets into us and sparkles for a while, alive, allowing us to cherish blue sky, friendship, babies, music, and be cherished in return. And then we're gone so fast. 80 years, 90 years, sometimes only 20 years. Where did that child come from? Dante, child of God, or George, child of God, Brianna, child of God, Philando, Adam Toledo in Chicago, or you, or me, or anyone. Where do these souls come from? Randomly incarnate in Black bodies, brown bodies, white bodies, our bodies? And what is it about us that we can't learn to cherish the miracle of one another, marvel at the amazing accident of us? Our theme this month is mortality, the practice of being alive. And part of that practice is wondering, how exactly do things happen? Beyond incarnation, most things are not random, even if they seem to be. Even if we cannot see the cause or do not choose to see the cause, don't choose to do the work of learning, tracing, understanding, wondering why things happen and keep happening as they do. I don't believe it was an accident last Sunday how Daunte Wright was killed. And in saying this, I am saying nothing about the officer who killed him, because I don't know a thing about her yet, only what I've read, which is what we all have read, all the articles and speculative comments. That truth is still unfolding. I do know I am holding her in prayer. And I also know that she and he and you and I are bound together in a way of being that is evil, that is wrong, that is old, so old that it looks like the way things have to be, and it isn't. And because I believe in the power of people and the power of love to bend the long arc of this universe toward justice, because of that, I refuse to believe that this way of being we are bound in is intractable. But we live and have lived for a long, long time, since the founding of the nation, since the conquest, since before 400 years of slavery. We live within racist structures of militarized policing that make people in our cities, Black, brown, Asian, Native, non-white people in our cities and our suburbs and our rural communities, non-white people everywhere feel like they live in occupied territories, because they do, in war zones, systems of militarized policing that are directly descended from, historically traceable to, pre and post emancipation posses of white slave catchers, night riders, order keeping vigilantes, terrorists, some sanctioned by the state, some not, but all sanctioned by our silence. It is not hard to trace the racist line of law and order to the profiling that pulls over one kid and not another, one person and never others, for expired license tabs, broken taillights, tailpipes, all of these infractions, which should never be but regularly become capital offenses. And in the press and buzz and argument that follows, it all gets muddled in our minds. We forget George Floyd was not meant to be on trial. It is not about drugs in his system. It is not about passing a bad $20 bill. Daunte Wright is not on trial. He never will be. They were simply executed. We forget that it's not an accident how this happens, how fear mixed with bias, mixed with training or bad training, mixed with the presumption of police impunity, mixed with history, mixed with the on-off switch of the reptilian brain that is lively in all of us, mixed with unhealed trauma, mixed with guns everywhere, in every hand, in every home, on every street, mixed with white supremacy's defense of capitalism at any cost. Well, it's a lethal mix. It's not an accident how frequently it ends with someone dead who shouldn't be. A Black man dead, a child of God. How frequently it ends, but it never ends, with mothers weeping, fathers weeping, grandmothers weeping, children weeping for their dead siblings, for their dead parents, cousins, friends, and for themselves as they begin to understand the odds of not growing up at all. From Reverend Dr. Ron Bell in Minneapolis. You must have witnessed the looting. Not the looting that the cameras and social media love to exploit, but instead the looting of our human rights, the looting of our constitutional rights as citizens, the looting of our communities for decades by corporations for greed. Did you see that looting? I think you were so busy, says Ron Bell. I think you were so busy looking for a riot that you missed the gathering of the grieving. I think you were so busy looking for looters that you missed the lament and the heartbreak of a community. I think you were so busy looking for trouble that you missed the tragedy of systemic racialized trauma on the bodies of Black and Brown people. Tonight, tomorrow, the next day, I beg of you, look again. Look again. Sarah's questions to us this week in the e-news are so poignant. She brought us this beautiful poem about the young man thinking of his mother as he gets dressed in the morning, and his mother thinking of him, her Black son. Little does he know his mama's been up for hours. Another boy dead in the street on the news. She remembered the first time she brought him home, her beautiful son. He was a beautiful boy. In his eyes, she saw all the pain she knew he would see. She saw all the struggle that she knew he would face, and it terrified her because she loved him with every fiber of her being and hoped it would be enough. Because what do you tell your child to protect him from dying? When who knows if the other mamas will teach their white children to stop the killing. Sarah asked us in the e-news, how do you prepare to go out into a dangerous world? How do you or did you prepare your children to go out into the dangerous world? And the questions sit within each of us, each person differently, of course, depending on the accidents of our birth, the bodies our spirits fell into. But we do need to be prepared because our broken world is no accident. It was built by hand and by intention with lofty dreams of freedom, equality, and justice, and the explicit, not subtle conviction that those sacred rights belong not to the many, but a few. That is how it began explicitly. The root of this infection is so deep. So each day when we go out, when we send our children out, we have to be prepared to do the hard and heavy work, the hard and holy work of transformation. Because either you believe in the power of people and the power of love, or you don't. You're just getting by in the convenience of your skin and circumstance. Either you believe in the power of people and the power of love and the weight of that upon you, upon every choice you make, everything you're willing to imagine and to risk, or you don't. Either we believe in the power of people and the precious holy sanctity of each person, one by one, the accident of their existence, a miracle, a gift, a blessing to their own mothers and to this whole wide world, or we just don't. It doesn't have to be this way. It was not an act of God that made our system as it is. It was not an accident. And in the words of James Baldwin, which perhaps by now you've memorized, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Most of us, he said, are about as eager to change as we were to be born, and we go through our changes in a similar state of shock. Any real change implies the breakup of the world as one has always known it, the loss of all that gave one an identity, the end of safety. And at such a moment, unable to see, not daring to imagine what the future will now bring forth, we cling to what we knew or dreamed that we possessed. But it's only when we're able, without bitterness or self-pity, to surrender a dream we've long cherished or a privilege we've long possessed, that we're set free. We've set ourselves free for higher dreams, for greater privileges. Privilege of being alive at all. Let's take a breath. Join in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life. Spirit of love. So many opinions, too many words. We rush naturally to explanation, rationalization, normalization, because our hearts are broken and we cannot stand the breaking. May we remember that we can. May we not rush to healing before we understand the terms and what's at stake, nor rush to peace and comfort and forgetting before the time for peace has come, but dwell here in the sadness for a time. Dwell here in confusion, in the swirl of anger and disruption, honoring the grief of those who lost their son last week, a father, friend, beloved. A light has gone out of the world. Years ago, a friend, a young friend, someone very small at the time, told me that all their life, they'd had about 8 years on the planet by then, all their life they'd called this moment every spring the Green Shadow Week. This tender moment when the buds are barely there, a mist of possibility, the not quite yet, before the trees leaf out, shout out their full glory, the moment just before, when we can't quite believe they'll do it. May this be our moment of green shadow, when our will for transformation of our own selves and our world becomes unstoppable, when every word we speak is love, fearless, relentless, fierce, and every choice a choice for justice, and every act intentional, no accident, every act an act of liberation. Amen. The hymn is in the gray hymnal. It's number 95. There's more love somewhere.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is justice
Please join me in the closing words. May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our will and love of truth forever guide us.
Thank you all for being here today. We hope that newcomers and visitors will join us right after the service for a brief welcome with ministry staff. And all are welcome to join us at 11:15 for Cyber Social Hour for conversation and connection. The links for both are in the chat box. Be well, friends. We are sending love from all of us at all of our locations.
They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. Oh Lord, we've struggled so long. Well, I must be free, I must be free. They say that freedom is a constant dying. They say that freedom is a constant dying. They say that freedom is a constant dying. Oh Lord, we've struggled so long. Well, we must be free, we must be free. They say that freedom is a constant mourning. They say that freedom is a constant mourning. They say that freedom is a constant mourning. Oh Lord, we've struggled so long. Well, we must be free, we must be free. They say that freedom is a constant sorrow. They say that freedom is a constant sorrow. They say that freedom is a constant sorrow. Oh Lord, we've struggled so long. Well, we must be free, we must be free. They say that freedom is a constant hunger. They say that freedom is a constant hunger. They say that freedom